All right, hello YouTube. So today I wanted to show a particular baitcaster, something that I grew up with back in the early 80s. Um, I don't have the reel. They're out there online. It's a really old version. It was actually made by a company called Ryobi, and back in the 80s, maybe late 90s, or yeah, I'd say up to maybe late 90s or mid 90s. They were producing bait casting reels and selling them here in the U.S. market. Now, I don't have anything here to show you, but I'll give you a little bit of insight about the company. So back in the day, that was all from Japan. They started making reels back in the beginning of I would say like in the 40s, early 40s. They've been in the game, and then they kind of started venturing and sending stuff out to other markets. So we wound up with Ryobi reels in the U.S. market in the 80s. The baitcasters, if you look them up online, you can find them on there. They were pretty cool. I mean, it was no frills, nothing fancy, but it was kind of like their take on the Lose brand. It kind of looked like that, the early models with the paddle style handles. But they also started kind of making like their own versions. They made a V spool where the idea is where the spool would be shaped like a V, like that, and the line would fill up in here, and as it kind of gets further apart, it spreads out. The idea is when you cast, as a line goes emptying out right here, it goes kind of like almost in a center line. It's supposed to kind of help with cast control. Uh, I don't know to what effect that worked. Mine wasn't a V spool. But to me, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. It looked like it worked, but I don't know. Anyways, that was kind of something they were selling. It was called a Ryobi B Mag, and that was pretty popular. And then not too long ago, I acquired a Ryobi reel again, but this is the more modern ones. But these were mostly set up to be sold in the Asian markets, like Malaysia, Vietnam, all these other areas out there. I mean, strictly the Asian market. And it's kind of funny because Ryobi got sold off from Japan. It was acquired by a Chinese company, and then they started to carry the Ryobi name, and that's what they are today. So what I have here is a Ryobi SMAPZ. I just got it, and as you can tell, well, it's obviously from it's set up, it's designed for the Asian market, and it's kind of cool actually. Uh, I wanted to get something different, and it wasn't too bad of when I looked at all the details. But I'll open it up, and like I said, this is a really quick unboxing. Okay, so here's the reel. Nothing in the box is fancy. You just get a couple bit of paperwork. You get a diagram in there, the parts diagram. Okay, and put this to the side. Here's the reel, and so it says right here, Ryobi brand since 1943. Right, it was a famous Japan brand. Uh, Now Ryobi International carries through Ryobi brand fishing tackle products production and sales in the global, excluding the Japanese market. So this is strictly for the Asian market, not like in Japan. Like I said, it's made by Way High Ryobi International Trading Company Ltd, and it's actually from China, right? So they acquired it, and they decided to carry on the Ryobi name. As you look at the reel, it's pretty. It looks pretty plain. Doesn't have no frills, no nothing on there marking branding except for right here. It's showing you that it's got a 6+1 bearing system. Right, and here's a little tag, Ryobi International. On the side, it's got their model number, the SMAPZ, and then Ryobi. So as you look at this, um, you can tell I mean, it's kind of like any other baitcaster you see out on the market today. pretty much anything that comes from the Chinese market, or if it's made in China, it don't matter whether it's an Abu Garcia or if it's a Quanta. I mean, all these name brands, right? They all have these specifics on how the reel is designed, right? And it's kind of funny because I actually got a chance to talk to the sales representative, and they told me that you can customize this to certain specifications if you wish to do so. Of course, they got to talk to the engineer and see if it's doable or not. But if you look at this carefully, it almost resembles a Daiwa T like 100 series reel. If you look at the Daiwa, that the way this dial is set up in here, it looks almost like a Daiwa, but it's not a Daiwa. Even the spool looks like a Daiwa. Um, but as far as the bearings, it's like a 6-1 bearing system. Pretty smooth reel. I mean, it's pretty good actually. Uh, the drag right here does click when you turn it. So, you know, if you tighten the drag up, you know, it does click. Right here, you have this opening. This is like if you get it wet, it'll also drain. You can also spray lubricant in there if you needed to on a whim, but you know it's always better to go in there and actually take it all apart, grease it, and apply the oil to the proper spots. Okay, now the spool, um, it is a typical anodized aluminum. I would say it's about about a mid-size spool. It's not real shallow like a BFS reel. So it's pretty standard. The drag ratio, the gear ratio is a 6.4 to 1, that's a decent speed. And the bearings, it's a 6 bearing plus 1. Well, I don't know where the plus 1 comes in at, but it's a 6 bearing system. Um, and as far as the line, um, you know, the line capacity, it's if you're using a line capacity, a line that's the diameter's 0.285 millimeters, it'll hold 130 meters of that. I don't know what pound test that is, but I mean it's easy to figure out just by looking online. The max drag power is 5 kilograms. I think that's like a little over 12 pounds or something like that. Or it might be more, but it's pretty good. It's not too bad. The reel itself, like I said, it's made pretty good. Here you got your little Ryobi tag. Let me take this off. Now, what I wanted to show you was the way it's taken down. So I'm not familiar with Daiwa, the way it comes apart, but if you look right here, there's a little lever right here you got to pull on. You pull that down to disengage the lock, and hang on here. Oh, there it goes. It's already open. Okay, it's open right there now. It's already disengaged. What happens is once you disengage that little lock, you twist this down like any other, like some of your other reels, and then you pull this off. Now, if you look at the spool, it looks like kind of your common ones that are out there today on all your expensive reels. Here's the inside. Now the body, it looks like it's got a construction of carbon construction, so it'd be basically like high carbon plastic, but it does feel uh, like the base might be carbon also. I can't tell. It feels like it's metal, um, but it's pretty solid. Now this is kind of interesting. Whether they're plated or I don't know if it's plated, but those magnets on there for your cast control, those look like neodymium magnets. In other words, like rare earth magnets. Not like Abu Garcia, where Abu Garcia actually had like just standard magnets back in the old days. And like I said, this is a more modern reel, you know. So as you turn this cast control, it actually shifts those magnets further and closer. You can see them moving out and in. So obviously if you got it at 0, it's pulling it away from the spool, and the other way, it's getting it closer to kind of keep that cast control under control. Now the way if you look right here, it's actually It's got some keys on here. It's kind of like a cam lock system. So you line it back up in here like that, twist it. Once you got it pushed all the way to the where it's flush right here, and it's already locked, you hit this little lock right here, right there, just like that, and now it's locked. So it's kind of a bummer though. This isn't left-hand retrieve. I don't use it. It accidentally came like that to me, so I'm probably going to wind up selling this online. But just by looking at it, I mean, it looks promising. I wish I do got another one coming in from Ryobi. It's going to be their X series. It's supposed to be the next model up from this one. And get this, the price on these. This reel, I paid only $40 for it. I thought I was going to get some clunky, piece of junk, but I was pretty surprised. It's actually built really well. I mean, I've got some other baitcasters that are not as new as this one, but I mean, it's pretty damn close as far as the manufacturing. As far as the manufacturing goes, it looks like it's pretty well made. Everything looks precise. I don't see any weird machining defects or any rough edges on the reel. Everything looks finished. Everything looks very well made. Now I can't vouch for like if you buy a whole bunch of them. I mean, who knows? You could get a lemon, but as far as I'm looking at right now, this was definitely a go. And I mean, really, uh, this it looks pretty darn good. I wanted to spool some line on it and go out and cast it a few times, but of course it'd be kind of hard because I'm not a left-hander. I'm a right-handed retrieve guy, and but I think I could probably still just try it. The the disengage for the spool or the quick release, it sounds very solid. When you push and turn this, it clicks very positive. The anti-reverse system is pretty good. You get a little bit of a play going back, but it's not. It's not very noticeable. But I'm impressed for being like a reel that, I mean, it can easily compete with something that's well, gosh, even an $80 reel. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Up to $100, maybe, but by the time you're hitting $100, you're already getting the reels that claim they got like 7, 8, 9, 10 bearings. I mean, I got an old Abu Revu that has 11 bearings, and then I got an Abu Eon Pro that has 11 bearings, and this feels pretty much the same as that. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. To me, I mean, it can have all the bearings in the world, and in the end, yeah, it is going to be a little smoother, but when it comes to bearings, the only thing, in my opinion, that you need bearings for is, one, you need a bearing on each side of the spool so it can cast really smooth, and you have the ability to cast further. And then a bearing right here on your main drive. Those three bearings, in my opinion, are the most critical thing on the reel for that smoothness. And then, of course, the way the gears are cut. Okay, and the gears on this one, they seem pretty good. I don't feel too much feedback from the teeth engaging on here as I turn this. It's not too much, and it's definitely no more than my Abu Garcia, because I know my Abu, I've used it quite a bit, and I can feel a little bit of that gear feedback as I'm reeling it in now. And it's already so many. Well, I don't know. It's like 7 or 8 years old. But this one, so far, I mean, being a new reel, it feels pretty clean, and pretty damn smooth actually. Your level wind right here, nothing fancy, typical level wind. Where just like any other level wind. And like I said, right here, if you look at the cast control, very very similar to the Daiwa. And turn it like that, and yeah, it's not bad. And I think yeah, I got another one coming in, but Ryobi is, like I said, the only reason that kind of caught my attention is just something that I had as a kid. It was one of my first bait casting reels. and I really enjoyed it. Of course, they're just using the Ryobi name. It's still made. I mean, it's obviously made in China, and but it's like everything else. But I got to hand it to them. It seemed, like I said, just by looking at it and just looking at everything around the reel, uh, everything looks pretty well cleaned up. It looks polished. I don't see, like I said, no rough machining. Nothing looks kind of it. It don't look out of alignment or like it was just thrown together. It looks pretty good actually. I'm impressed. And I mean, I do own like the Ceratos, the new Shimano's, and those are really good, right? But if you look at it, where are they made at? Mine are made in Malaysia, which is not too far away from China. So um, a lot of people go for the JDM reels. Those are all Japan-specific market reels, and they are made pretty well. But I mean, like I said, these are just really cool alternatives. If you're looking to get into a baitcaster and you don't want to throw out a lot of cash, look up Ryobi. I actually found this on Alibaba. So, um, and I'm impressed with it. I mean, it's every bit as good as my other reels that are 2 to 3 times. Well, I would say at least twice as expensive, for sure. But it looks very promising, and it just everything just looks very well made. Um, I might just wind up spooling it up, taking it out for a few trips, and just testing it. Um, Nothing feels flimsy. It feels pretty solid. But that's pretty much it, though. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. But this it's a really excellent reel. If you're just looking to start out with a baitcaster and you want to try something kind of cool, uh, I think this will be a really good setup. But I'll know more when the X series shows up. I'll do another video on that. And actually, that's coming in as a right-hand model. I didn't realize it was a left-hand model that was being sent to me, and I kind of screwed up. And that's bad on my bad on my that's my bad. That's all right though. Uh, but it's just something I can show. I'll probably wind up just selling this. I'll probably just throw this up on eBay. Uh, but it's pretty good. Um, I got so far it looks really decent, but I probably will just spool it up and just go test it and play with it and see what I think. Anyways, thanks for watching, and everybody have a good one. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. All right, thank you.